Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Yes, I am still in Florida, and I am headed out this weekend, which will be when this video is actually dropping. I am shooting this on Monday, April 27th, and this is going to release this upcoming Saturday. So as you're watching this, if you're watching it as it premieres on Saturday, I am currently driving home in my new debt-free car. We'll get to that later, and headed from Florida back home to New York. So let's get started on today's video. This is my monthly finance check-in. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I talk a lot about simple living, frugality, and right now I'm really focused on getting out of debt. So I have a whole series. It's called Digging Out of Debt series. You can watch the playlist on my channel at any time, but it documents our debt-free journey. And so back in September of last year, we started with, I think it was close to $79,000 in debt, and drum roll please. As of May 1st, we now have $13,485.18 left. So what I love to do in these check-ins is give you kind of a breakdown of the debt that is left, and then some key points on how the last month went. It's kind of a reflection on my spending habits and how my husband and I did for April, and you know, what can we improve on, what did we do well, and then moving forward into the new month, which would be May, what our next goal or what we're looking forward to is. As of April 1st, we had $17,818.32 of debt, and because we now are sitting May 1st at $13,485.18, that brings our total paid off in the month of April to $4,333.14. So that is a ton of money put towards debt, and I'm going to break it down and tell you exactly what happened. If you're new here, last week I posted a video about how I quit my corporate 9-to-5 at the end of March, and April has been kind of nutty. I actually have spent most of April in Florida helping my mother post shoulder surgery, and so I've really had like no routine. It felt like a big blur. Like, honestly, it's been like one extended vacation, but then also trying to focus on growing the channel and paying attention to visiting friends down here, because I used to live down here, and so I have a big community of people that I love and that I missed very much. One of my best friends had a baby, another one had a birthday, so it was really nice to spend some time down here. But as a result, I can't really say, you know, we had a routine or we have a new budget now that we are down to a one-income household. However, I truly appreciate the EveryDollar app. This video is not sponsored, but hopefully someday maybe we will be. And the EveryDollar app really helps us because we can connect our bank to the budget app. Every transaction that occurs in our bank account, which is joint, ends up in our budget. So Mike and I can kind of keep track of each other while I'm down here and he's up there, and make sure that we're staying on track with our budget. Every month I give you a breakdown of all of the exact numbers of like what is left on each debt. And so here's what we have left. We have Loan A and Loan B, which are family loans. They are from the RV that we had sold earlier this year. We had to pay it down before we put it on consignment. So each of those loans still has $3,500. I think this was the same as last month. Maybe we paid down $500 on each of these, but I didn't want to put any more money towards paying these off because they're interest free. Being that we are down to a one-income household, we chose to put our extra payments towards the debt that had interest. So that would be the third and final loan. Sorry, I'm using my phone here, and I'm not left-handed. It is the city personal loan. So this is really the one we paid down the most. It is down to $6,485.18. And so that brings our current total debt for the month of May to that $13,485.18. That's huge. I mean, I'm super proud of that number, and I will say I was not expecting that. I think last month when I made the video saying like, hey, I'm leaving my job and here's where we're at with our debt, I was expecting that these numbers would be shrinking a lot slower than they had been in previous months because of the fact that we are now down to one income. But I did not anticipate that I received my quarterly bonus for work right after I quit. I also received like one more paycheck beyond, obviously, it's a bi-monthly pay period. So I had like one more check coming in. There were some manufacturer spiffs that were still due to me. So there's been like some extra money trickling in. And then I kind of all hit at once in that first 2 weeks of April, which was great. And so what I ended up doing was putting a bunch of it towards the debt. And then I will say one thing I've been talking about here the last couple months is boosting up our savings account. And so I believe last month we were somewhere around the like $5,200 mark for our savings account. After buying a used car, and I will talk about that later on in the video, we are now up to $7,500 in our savings account. And actually, while we are having this conversation, we're going to go in here and take a look at our budget. And I'm going to let you know what our monthly expenses are. Okay, it's kind of hard to say what our monthly expenses are because I have our rental also included in this budgeting app. So we have like money coming in for our rental property and then it goes back out towards the bills for that rental property. So hold on a second. Let me do some math here. Okay, so I believe that we have gotten our budget down to about, I think we're around $3,600 a month. So $7,500 in our savings. Bare bones budget would actually probably be closer to $3,000 because some of that money is like for our retirement and savings. So I would say we have about 2 months, 2.5 months of emergency fund, which is huge. They do say depending on the jobs you have, depending on how steady they are, depending on the amount of money coming in and out, you should have anywhere from 3 to 6 months. If it's a less stable like commission job, then 6 to 12 months. I think I would prefer to have 1 year of expenses saved. That would be amazing and ideal, but we're also in a position where we rent from a family member. So God forbid an emergency occurred, we're not going to be homeless. So honestly, 2 months is an amazing start and I'm super proud of that. Okay, let's talk shop and go over some notes from this past month. I already covered how I've spent most of the month here in beautiful sunny Florida. I have no problem with that. I did feel like I had no routine. Somehow I felt more lethargic than normal. I think because there was no, I have to get up at this time and I have to do work at this time. I'm feeling very lazy and I feel like I am gaining weight and then I'm having more hunger pangs, probably out of boredom. So I cannot wait to get home next week and go back to a structured day where it's like, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have, cook dinner before Mike gets home from work. I'm going to have this going on these nights. And it's just more of a, this is for me versus the past couple weeks have definitely been, and as they should be because I love my mother and I wanted to help her out. So I'm not complaining here, but it's been kind of making sure that I'm available for her, whether or not she needs me. And then I've also been helping out with my friend and her newborn and just all the joys and blessings that the Lord has granted me. So I'm really not complaining. But there is something about a routine that I thrive really well with. So I cannot wait to get back home for that. And I think that will help with the budgeting aspect. There have been some transactions from Mike and I eating out at restaurants because we're not with each other. We're not keeping each other accountable. And so a little bit of our grocery and household budget has gone towards things like, delis and Zen dumplings. Sorry. Okay, so now it's story time about the vehicle, and I'm putting my phone down because I really need to do my hand thing, my Italian hand thing, while I tell you the story. I flew down here, and I was actually going to make a video about this, about using public transportation, because we were down to 1 car. We had sold our truck that we used for the RV, and we got about $4,700 cash back from that truck because we had financed it, but we were paying it down aggressively early. So we had this cash sitting in savings, and I said, I want to use that cash to buy another vehicle. Well, looking in New York, vehicles were super expensive for very, very old cars that probably had a lot of rust from the winters, and that I didn't, know the owner, didn't know if I could trust them. I don't know all that much about cars. I know the basics, but, I don't know exactly what to look for in an older car. So I was going to make a video because when it came time for me to fly down here, because Mike was working and I had no vehicle, and so he had our only car, I had to take an Uber to the Amtrak station in town, the Amtrak up to Albany, take another Uber to the airport in Albany, fly down to Orlando, have my sister pick me up and drive me 30 minutes to my mom's house in Orlando. It was like 12 hours of travel and like 5 different methods of travel, and it was just interesting to, honestly, Europe's setup is so sweet. Like in Italy, when I visited my family growing up, You could walk to everything. It was so easily accessible. There was public transportation. Even down in Miami where my parents lived for 9 years, they have the Metro Mover. They have just easier ways to get around. A place like Orlando and a place like Poughkeepsie, there's not as much transportation. There's not as much, I'm not in Poughkeepsie, I'm outside of it, but there's not as much like accessible public transportation. I did notice that when we were down to one car, I tried to walk to the grocery store. There were no sidewalks on the main road. I was like, how are people supposed to get around? I was disappointed with not only public transportation, but I guess the accessibility for people to walk places. It really wasn't that walkable. So, fast forward, I do my little dance, my 5 different places, and I come down to Florida. And I start thinking and praying, maybe I need to buy the car while I'm down here in Florida because it will not have any rust, it won't have any damage from the salt and the snow, and then I can drive it home. And I have some important stuff that I left here when we moved that I need to get back home. It's like a carload full of stuff that just wasn't important enough, or it was too important to put in the storage unit when we moved. And so it's been at my mom's house, and she's like, when are you going to bring it home? And I'm like, well, I don't have a vehicle. I came down here on a plane. So I start thinking, the gears start turning. I'm now in the mindset of like, I would rather buy something super cheap, put a couple grand of work into it, know that it's mine, know that it works, and know that I don't have to pay all that money to a dealership, plus then I have a payment and more interest when we've been working so hard to get out of debt. So, this is how the Lord works. My mom said to me the other day, you know what, because I was car shopping every day, because there's not much to do here at home, right? I'm helping her with her breakfast, we're watching TV, I'm scrolling on my phone. And I said, maybe I should buy a car down here. Maybe I should buy a car down here. I don't know if I really want to finance it. I don't really want to finance anything. Maybe I can buy something older for cash. How does the tag work? How do I get it home to New York? Blah, 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 blah. She's like, look, if you go finance a newer vehicle that I approve of, that your future family can drive in, so something long-term, 4-wheel drive, think RAV4 or Honda CR-V. Those were the 2 that I had been considering. And she's like, and you can finance it. And then she said, and I quote, and I will forgive your $3,500 of debt. Excuse me? Forgive $3,500? That would be like getting the car interest free. That makes sense to Gabby. I prayed about it. I made an appointment with a sales guy that I trust at a Honda, Holler Honda here. His name's Peter. If you're looking for a Honda in Central Florida, go see Peter at Holler Honda. He's great. And I messaged him to make an appointment. So I get into the dealership. I even picked out the car to look at. He was with somebody else, so I walked out to the cars looking around. He comes out, he goes, like, why won't you just buy the car in New York? And I was like, because I could get something without any salt or rust. He was like, yeah, I hear you. I said, I also have this stuff to move from my mother's house. He's like, yeah, I get it. He goes, are you living in New York or New Jersey? And I said, New York. And he goes, I can't sell you a car. And I can't register it for you in New York. If it was any other state but New York, I could do it, but not New York. Okay, pre-Christ Gabby would have been like, why me? Why does this stuff happen to me? Post-salvation Gabby went, okay. And I got back in the car and I went, all right, Lord, I don't know what you have for me, but I guess it's not financing a car here. And I drove home and went through my day. Didn't think about it. And then the next morning, my friend Lena, lovely Lena that you've seen on this channel before. We actually shot another taste test video, so that'll be coming out next week. She texts me and she says, hey girl, I am probably going to sell my car. I know you said you wanted to buy an older car. I know you offered to buy my car. Originally, she was not going to sell it for another 6 months. So she said, do you still want to buy my car? And I was like, yes, ma'am. This is why the Lord did not let me finance that car yesterday, because if I had financed that car yesterday and signed contracts and drove it home, and then she texted me, it would have been too late, and I would have been in a finance contract where I'd have to make a monthly payment, where it's not that I don't trust that I trust that the money's going to come in. I just don't need payments. I don't want to be a slave to the lender. The borrower is slave to the lender, and I don't want to be in that position. So I'm trying to get out of it. And so signing contracts just means I'm roped into it, and I have these like invisible chains. All right, I'm getting off my soapbox. Point is, I bought Lena's 2011 Hyundai Elantra. His name is Phil. He has 176,000 miles on him, and he's a gem. He needed a little bit of work before I could get it up and running to drive to New York, because New York is a lot stricter than Florida. Florida, if it runs on the road, they will just say, yes, here you go, here's a plate. New York has an inspection for safety reasons. Basically, I said, you know what, I would rather pay super cheap for this car, buy it from a friend who I know took care of it, put a little bit more money into it, and then drive it home and know that it's going to last me probably another 50 to 70,000 miles at least, as long as I maintain the oil changes and take care of it. She had just put new tires on it. She had an alignment. She had an oil change. She and her father took very good care of this car for the last 4 years that they have owned it. So I said, this is the car. We're doing it. So I paid for the car with her. We went to the DMV. I think I have a picture of us here with the paperwork, and when she handed me the keys, it was really cute. Her mom had prayed for me and prayed over the car, and they're just such a beautiful, loving family, and I'm so grateful that God put them in my life. And we've been through a lot together, and I'm very thankful for her. And now I am thankful for Phil, because now Mike and I have 2 paid off vehicles. I am proud, I am happy, and I'm thankful that I have a car with no payment, and the insurance is super cheap. Yeah, so that is the story of the vehicle. I wanted to catch you up on that, so I'm very excited to I'm waiting on the tail light and picking it up on Thursday, and then I'm leaving for my drive home on Friday. And actually, I'm planning on the drive home to take videos and do a series on Buc-ee's, the history of Buc-ee's. If you're from not where there's a Buc-ee's, I think that would be interesting. I love Buc-ee's. And then also, I'm stopping at South of the Border to get some videos for you guys. If you've also never heard of South of the Border, where have you been all your life? Wrapping up this video, I think overall it was an amazing April. I definitely quit at the right time. I would not have been able to come down here to Florida and help my mother out with her shoulder surgery and recovery afterwards if I was working. I would not have, been here to be able to buy the car from Lena when she was finally ready to upgrade. I would not have been here for my friend Sarah's birthday. I would have not been able to come down and meet my nephew Nolan. Congratulations, Joe and Kevin. I have a new channel for my business, ODAAT Creative. If you're interested, I'll put the information down below in the description. And I just made them a very sweet welcome to the world Nolan video. So, if you want to check that out or subscribe to the other channel, check that out down below. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to, spend some quality time with the people that I love, which I think is the most important thing. But I definitely miss my husband, Mike, so much. And I cannot wait to get home so I can get back to a routine, we can get back on track, and we can keep progressing. And thank you so much for 400 subscribers. That is amazing. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who comment and like and subscribe. It means the world to me. So if you have enjoyed this video or you like any of my other videos, please consider subscribing and liking. It helps the algorithm. And I am trying to monetize this channel, so we're working on that right now. Oh, hello, sunshine. Monetization, right. This is my second channel. I do have another channel that is monetized with 20,000 subscribers. However, that was my RV channel, which was connected to my old company. And so now that has about 10 videos left that are from my camping series. And I don't feel right using that monetized channel for content like this because it's not related to RVs, which is why I built Life with Gabby. And so I'm trying to, start a new brand, I guess. I don't know, brand, whatever. I'm trying to start a new community here on this channel. So if you like it, it helps out. We're trying to get monetized by the end of the year. Would really appreciate it. That is all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.